Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you a 1 versus 1 on Bois de Limors, and this is a replay that was sent in. So today we're going to be seeing Coach Kuhn take on Funstream On. Coach Kuhn's going to be using the 101st and Funstream On's using the 716th Infantry Division. A way to win my heart, that's for sure. And one thing that's very special about this replay is it's a very high level 1v1. Now I don't play 1v1 very often, nor do I play ranked much, and this is a ranked 1v1 for you guys today. We are seeing Funstream On, who has currently, at the time of this replay, 100 wins, 12 losses, and 2 draws in ranked. And Coach Kuhn has, at the time of this replay, 35 wins, 6 losses, and 1 draw. So, yeah, both these guys are ranked very highly. I think Funstream On's currently rank 12 on the leaderboard, or currently, actually, is rank 11 now. And Coach Kuhn is currently rank 42 on the leaderboard. So, a very high sort of tier battle that we're going to see today. Now, just from the offset, I would say that this map honestly favours the 101st, Coach Kuhn, with his 101st Airborne Division on Bois de Limors. I would kind of be really happy with this choice of map for Coach Kuhn. Obviously, when you play ranked, the map choice is random. You don't know what map you're going to get before you go in. You just choose your division, hope for the best. And in this case, it is the best for the 101st. For the 716th, maybe not so much, but if they can play around the forest area here, like just basically, they could forget about this right side and focus really hard on this left side, and you could just break through here and make your ground that way, just sort of concede the forest until the 101st knows what's going on, you know. You could maybe put in a couple of Osttroopen squads here just to slow things down, but otherwise you just want to be focusing in the open. So that's what I'm hoping to see Funstream On do here. And it does look like he has a lot of units sort of focused on the bottom side early on. I'm going to keep it from this direction for the majority of the game, so I don't confuse you guys. So I'm really looking forward to this. We've got the whole sort of 40 minutes, so I have no idea who's going to win. I haven't watched the replay before. This is a cast straight in. Don't know what's going to happen. I never watched it before, and at the moment at the top side, it looks like we're going to be seeing some Osttroopen with command infantry. That is a good way of slowing things down. Very nice there. So that's going to be like Osttroopen, they get pinned down. We're going to see the command unit basically stop them from falling back, and that's going to make it very hard for the 101st player to push through. But it looks like here we're going to be seeing quite a large concentration into the forest, which makes sense from the 101st player. I think this map would be more favoured for the 101st if the map was twisted the other way around. Because imagine if the 101st was on this right side. They could push through from this halfway line all the way to this massive block of trees. Whereas from this direction, it's kind of a lot smaller. Now this was played on the previous patch, so before flamethrowers were nerfed at all. The 101st are very strong still. What I'm liking in this sort of position is the use of the 716th. I've always been convinced that they are a very competitive division, and people always say to me like, oh, veterancy is extremely important, right? And therefore, like the divisions like the 101st, 3rd Fallschirmjäger, 2nd Infantry, you know, these divisions are the ones that are the best, right? But I've always been convinced that the 352nd and the 716th can be very competitive, especially in 1v1, and you know how much I like them in 2v2, 3v3, and so on. Either way, at the bottom of the map here, massive concentration of units from Funstream On, which makes sense. He knows that the 101st player is going to be focusing on the forest quite a lot, and he's literally got exactly what I said, a couple units of Osttroopen and a command infantry, just to basically slow down the push into the forest. He's got a unit in the middle here. He's got to be careful of the front line bulging here. If he doesn't bring in something to stop that, then he's going to be in trouble. And he is going to be bringing in a Panzer 39 for that there. Ooh, this is close. Grenadier getting very close to the M22 there. IG-18 moving out is going to be engaging the Pathfinders on the bottom side. Infantry moving up. We've also got the Panzer B2 coming. Now the B2, it has 8 front armor, so should do well against the Locust. Locust not going to be able to do too much against the Osttrooper, I don't feel. In this top side, yeah, Osttrooper just holding back. I think if he keeps them on one side of the trees here, he should be able to sort of pin some units before they come across, and he just needs to keep the Grenadier back. You could also use smoke to make sure that the airborne engineers have to be like right on top of his troops before they can fire. I also like the use of this Lorraine. I'm not entirely sure how useful it's going to be, because you might not find any targets up here. But we'll have to wait and see how exactly well that does. IG-18 engaging the 50 cal there. B2 is going to be engaging it as well. But this M22 is going to go for a cheeky shot onto the B2, I feel. Is the B2 going to let it get away with it? It depends if the M22 hits. Track's broken. Oh, that's not good. That's not good at all. Funstream on. Not in the best position. Oh, and an ammo explosion. Wow, the M22 did the job there. Fantastic. So he's going to have to bring in some sort of AT onto this bottom side, else he's going to not have much to deal with this M22. There's a chance that the IG-18 might kill it, but that's a very low chance. Still getting a lot of ground on this side. 50-50 currently. There is an IG-18 coming down to the top side, I believe. It might just be moving towards the center, actually, to accompany the Aufklärer here. But there we go, IG-18 going to force the M22 to fall back. That's going to allow the Osttrooper to move forwards at least, but Mustang coming in with the 2 bombs. They didn't really do too much, did they? Pinned down the units, but not too much lethality there. Airborne engineers struggling with the engagement onto the Osttrooper at the moment. And we are going to be seeing the Lorraine open up. Where exactly is that firing? I can't tell by holding shift. So we'll just have to wait and see. I think it's probably firing at this area here. Unless you can see the airborne rifles down the road there. In which case, fair enough. Panzer 39 Osttrooper going to be taking on these airborne rifles in the open. It's going to be an IG-18 that's going to help out quite a lot. Airborne rifles pinned down there. Ideally wants to be pinning down these airborne engineers. Some smoke being used for the airborne engineers as well. I'm not entirely sure or convinced that's the best way to go about this, because airborne engineers, yeah, I guess they do have 9 HE at close range. So they will be able to do a lot of damage. Needs to be careful, this Osttrooper is well out of the way of this Grenadier, so it's going to be surrendering as soon as it gets pinned down. On the bottom side, the Locust moved all the way back, and that's allowed these Osttrooper to actually have time to move up. Small engagement happening between the Osttrooper and the airborne rifles now. Pathfinder's also getting involved. These Osttrooper are going to get pinned down by the Pathfinders or just straight up killed off. But as long as he has these Osttrooper alive, he should be okay. Oh, the airborne engineer's falling back there. Not sure they're in the radius of the airborne leader. No, they're not. So that would have been a surrender if those Osttrooper were still alive and not pinned down, but they're dead now. So it's just a matter of stemming the bleeding on the top side. Some more Osttrooper coming in, I believe, for Funstream on. And he's now bringing up the IG-18 to just contain the tree line here. Then he's probably going to put all of his focus into the bottom, where he's bringing up another B2. But I would definitely like to see a Pak-38. Because a Pak-38 would safely take out the M22. I guess at max range, so would a Panzer B2. The only reason that the M22 had a decent chance to penetrate the B2 was because of the close range. The Pathfinder's here, going to be bumping into the IG-18 now. IG-18 is going to probably absolutely wreck those Pathfinders. Lorraine is busy firing away. He's going to be trying to hit the airborne engineers as much as possible. Osttrooper engaging the airborne leader there. Oh, that's interesting. If the Grenadier can kill off the airborne leader, any infantry that's left in here could be forced to surrender quite easily. So that's something to look out for. IG-18 nearly finishing off the Pathfinders there. 50 cal is getting on to line of sight. Panzer 39 also coming down. Airborne rifles do have a bazooka, so you have to be careful of that engagement there. More bombers coming in. Going to be hitting the IG-18 and killing it off. This Osttroopen, however, is continuing to move up. One of the Osttroopen squads surrendered to the airborne rifles. At the moment, things aren't looking particularly great for VulcanHDGaming. Got a lot of work to do. He did cut off the M22 Locust. Now he's just got to be careful of this M1 gun, surprising him a little. Lucky he didn't get that Osttroopen squad killed there. Okay, so the B2's just sort of fire positioning at the moment. Panzer 39 trying to deal with these Pathfinders. We're also seeing the Osttroopen here probably going to be made to surrender by the airborne rifles up in the forest. It's no surprise to me that the Osttroopen are being forced to fall back there, but it looks like the airborne leader was killed off. Also the Grenführer went down, so these Osttroopen need to be careful that as soon as they're pinned, they're not surrendered. And that Lorraine shot didn't really help. They might be able to kill off the Pathfinders. Only one Pathfinder left, and they are going to die. Okay, so now just needs to be wary of those flamethrowers instead. Needs to take care of this M1 gun before it surprises his B2, and if he takes it out, there's going to be a huge hole in the front line here. Okay, here we go. VulcanHDGaming creating that gap in the front line. Going to be able to push forwards his units all the way, and any good player would know that if this is happening, there's no units coming anytime soon. He could push those units so far up. AT gun being brought in response to Coach Kuhn. So Coach Kuhn, it looked as though he was doing really well, but he lost a few vital units on this bottom side, and it's really cost him a lot of ground. He's still gaining the +1 with this push into the forest and on the top side here. But I think, you know, if VulcanHDGaming just puts a few IG-18s around the edge of the forest, puts IG-18s here as well, he can literally just push back and it will be fine. As long as he controls his bottom side, the 716th have a good chance of winning. Second Lorraine coming in for the bottom side. It's interesting that I don't use Lorraines at all when I use 716th. I don't find them that useful. They have a really slow rate of fire. They do have very high HE, just very low rate of fire. And there, well, airborne engineers taking a direct hit. If that's stunned in one shot, then fair enough. But as you can see, not particularly fast firing. It's quite slow. Pinning down a lot of the troops though there. I think that was mainly the IG-18. Mustangs coming in, pinning down the Osttroopen in the open. Flak 36 also being hit very hard. M3 gun going to be pinned down and taken out by the B2. And these airborne rifles also aren't in a great spot either. But Coach Kuhn still has the initiative. He has this line of infantry in the middle of the map, which is giving him quite a large or significant lead, 53% territory lead. VulcanHDGaming just needs to do the same on the bottom side, and he can gain back the ground he most desperately needs. So yeah, I think here it's just a matter of, you know, making sure the IG-18s are on these edge sort of tree lines, and then they can fire at anything that shows itself on the edge of this forest. Osttroopen here, they're just there to be like fodder, and letting that Flak 36 die to the 50 cal is kind of careless there from VulcanHDGaming, but we'll see what happens. He's busy focusing on the bottom side, bringing up some more infantry to secure his position down here. 53% territory lead. If he gets rid of these airborne rifles, it's going to be in such a good spot. He really is. So the B2's rolling across here. Let's see where that's going. I think it's just going to go for an attack order onto these airborne rifles. Do as much damage as he can. Has the howitzer on that. Osttroopen can probably move all the way up to those. And they can probably cut off the top side, honestly. If you got one of those Osttroopen squads to drive behind the forest and go up here, you could cut off all of these men. The VulcanHDGaming making a lot of ground at the moment, and these Osttroopen just being a pain in the ass. Definitely needs to like bring in some IG-18s up here. He's got one here, which is fine. I like this position. It has really good like line of sight onto the middle of the map. Well, I say that, but it doesn't really. I think it's just because there's a lot of trees and stuff blocking, but generally this infantry trying to move up will get hit by the IG-18 eventually, which is fine. You're going to be seeing the Lorraine there take out the 50 cal at the back, and is probably going to fire at the airborne rifles as soon as they can. Ostjupen have got into position now, which is going to make it very difficult for Coach Kuhn to push back. 53% territory lead for VulcanHDGaming on now. We're into phase C in 8 minutes. So 2 minutes into phase B currently. And we are 15 minutes into the match. So a lot of things can change. I think what Coach Kuhn needs to do is first of all kill off this B2, which looks like he might be able to with the M1 gun. Unless B2 can stun it quick enough. Ooh, might be able to. If it had hit that first shot, it would have pinned that down. Second shot's going to, though. And that M1 gun's pinned. Okay, Ostjupen going to run them down. That's fine. Airborne rifles there surrounded. Now this is a little bit of a mistake. Needs to kind of tell this B2 to like chase his M1 gun down. IG-18 goes down to the Mustang, which is fine. But yeah, fast moving this B2 towards the M1 gun. I would like to see that happen. At the moment, an attack move order being used. Okay, it does have line of sight onto the M1 gun for now, which is fine. So he's going to be using the howitzer there to hit it before it can fire. Great, okay. Just needs to kill it off. So this is a bit of a mistake on the top side here, I think. Coach Kuhn's managed to get airborne engineers into this forest. There are pioneers, however, coming in from VulcanHDGaming, so they will be able to take on airborne engineers. There's also a B2 up here, which will do a lot of damage to this infantry, and a lot of this infantry is incredibly overextended now. Like I said, if one Ostjupen squad went up here, you would have cut off all of these units. It wouldn't really matter in terms of the airborne, because they have wings. It wouldn't affect their morale. But yeah, it definitely would have been good to cut it off just for the sake of the conquest points. Now these guys need to be fallen back. Ostjupen taking on airborne rifles in the open. Airborne rifles will probably win. Looks like he's somehow managing to walk around these airborne engineers. And he's being very cautious with his B2. That's for sure. So one of the pioneer squads going down there. Maybe the 50 cal will accidentally walk into those ones. This Lorraine's still firing away. Looks like the AT gun was taken care of, and now there is an M4 on the field. Now these M4s, the Shermans, are really, really difficult to deal with as the 716th. Like, this B2 can't really do much against the M4 unless it gets close enough and gets the stun in. So this is where I was saying, like, investing in an AT gun earlier on would have been a nice idea, because then you would have had that to challenge this M4 moving forwards. Right, Pioneers doing their jobs. Took out, I think, one of the airborne engineer squads there and took out the 50 cal. Still grenades left on this Pioneer squad. Just should be able to take out those airborne engineers. There's also Pioneer Führer, which have their own grenade. Bomber coming in. Thunderbolt onto the B2. Now that Thunderbolt does have a chance of killing the B2 with the 25 HE power bombs, which is why I think that was tried out there. Pioneer Führer and the Pioneer is going to be killing off those airborne engineers. 52% territory lead now for Coach Kuhn. All he needs to do is get this M4 to kill off the B2. It looks like he's coming in with a Thunderbolt. That's going to bomb out the B2. And then when it's falling back, he can just kill it off with the M4, which is fine. So that's nice. Really what Coach Kuhn had to do to deal with that. He tried the AT guns, didn't work. Now he's trying the M4, and that basically works every time against the B2. Now 51% territory lead as long as this B2 stays alive. I think as soon as that dies, these infantry units get cut off, and the airborne rifles should be able to clean them up. However, there is a severe lack of units in the top side for Coach Kuhn, and if he gets pushed back there by these pioneers, for example, he's going to be in a bad spot. These airborne rifles here, needs to be very careful with those as well. 50 cal is going to be opening up, and then he's just going to advance on that with the pioneers. So the B2 finally went down to the M4. AA on this bottom side doing its job. Onto that Mustang. Might even get the kill. Yes, it will. Mustang goes down. That's a flak 88. 2 flak 36s and a flak filling. Very, very strong amount of AA there. Airborne rifles being forced to fall back. Wow, that 50 cal squad managed to avoid the grenade from the pioneers there. It's incredible. And those pioneers just need to be like ran right up next to the 50 cal, I think. Because then he can just make them surrender as soon as they pin down. Looks like it might not matter in this case, as the 50 cal will just die straight up. And it looks like the map's starting to like recover its normal sort of midline. There was like a massive push coming through from VulcanHDGaming, and now it's sort of leveled out a bit since the M4 has dealt with the majority of the units left over. This Osttroppen squad just sitting there. Doesn't need to worry about moving that. As soon as he starts to push on it again, it might connect the front line. So he's got a bunch of Osttroppen pushing across the open here. Pioneer squads coming up, Panzer 39 and B2. B2 and Panzer 39 need to push on this top side. Some recon up here would be really nice at this point, because then he would be able to see like that there is an M3 gun and an airborne mortar, and be able to actually push on that. Like he could take back a lot of this forest right now, because the 101st player, Coach Kuhn, kind of overextended in the top side. So there we go, M3 gun taking on the Panzer 39, and that's going to get the kill. ME-109 probably wants to go for a strafing run onto that, honestly. Would be very nice. Looks like some grenadiers coming in from VulcanHDGaming. These are going to be his core infantry moving forwards to deal with these airborne rifles that are being thrown at him. And it looks like, honestly, in most cases, Coach Kuhn's focusing on the airborne rifles over the airborne engineers, which makes sense in this sort of terrain, because the airborne rifles work a lot better at range. They have 10 HE power, as opposed to the lowly like 3 that the airborne engineers have. But the airborne engineers at close range, especially against things like pioneers, can fare a lot better, although they generally trade 1 for 1. Looks like the Pak 40 and the Flak 36 there, causing the airborne rifles to be forced to fall back. We're seeing the B2 move up and engage the airborne rifles, but that M3 gun, that might get a side shot if he's not too careful. You can see it coming. I think that's going to be a very dead M3 gun. Or not. Track's broken onto the B2. That must be very annoying. Forced to fall back, going to be constantly fired upon until that M3 gun gets the kill now. And that is only, let's see, what's 800 meter range? Yeah, so he's going to have 9 AP power. It's going to penetrate that eventually. And the B2 actually goes down to the M3 gun. I think that's a bit of a mistake there. Where is your recon, mate? Like, VulcanHDGaming could have been using the recon there to spot that very, very early on, and then he could fire position that with the B2. ME-109 does manage to take out one of the Thunderbolts, but here comes all of the Air Force from Coach Kuhn. He's not going to let that slide. ME-109 is going to be engaged by that Mustang, and I feel like it's just going to get pinned down. Unless he can get over his own AA. Maybe he's going to go for that. No, surely he's going to get pinned down. Yeah, he's going towards his own AA, but he's not going to be quick enough. Mustangs on his tail, going to be shooting him down. Nice try with that air engagement, but just too many aircraft in the sky for the 101st. So +1 back in favour of Coach Kuhn. With that M3 gun really being a hero up here. He's managed to savour that for now. These pioneers could freely push across the open though, at any point. And I think even just trying with one of those would have been worth it. Even bringing in an Ostroop and then just poking that would be nice, because surely he noticed that 2 airborne engineers went down there, and reinforcing that is unlikely with the amount of points he's being put into the bottom side. Especially with the M4 coming out, that was a huge investment, and it's paid off in that it dealt with the B2 like it was supposed to. Just got to be careful he doesn't now walk the M4 into line of sight of that Flak 88, or he's going to be in a bit of trouble. There's also a Pak 40 there now, and that Pak 40, well, that can definitely do a lot of damage against infantry, so that's currently using its HE shells to do so. The morale damage is nice. So, we're back in favour of Coach Goon. What can VulcanHDGaming do now to change things around? He's bringing in an ME-109 G6R6 accompanied by a HS-129. Going to be going for the kill onto the M4. This is interesting because it could bait an air engagement that actually ends up in favour of the 716th, which would be quite interesting. But here, goes for a quick strafing run. Forced to fall back though, purely because of the CGMC. I think he also might have lost line of sight there. If we jump to VulcanHDGaming's position, yes, he doesn't actually have line of sight, so that's a shame. HS-129 is going to be forced to fall back, and there goes the ME-109 as well. Okay, so these units are beginning to be cut off. Really just like to see a little probe there. I really would. Ah, here we go. I think the Pioneers are starting to move forwards. Yes, they are. They're going to find that there is only an airborne leader here. There is also the 50 cal. I feel like that 50 cal is going to be starting to attack these Osttroop more than anything. Like having the B2 there would have been perfect for this situation. Like running across the open, have the B2 pin down the 50 cal, and you just keep running forwards. Could have definitely made a lot of ground back up there. Obviously, like I said, he has been focusing in on the bottom side because Coach Goon's been investing so much here with all of these airborne rifles. But still, 20 points just to check that would have been very nice, and would have given him quite a lot of ground. Mustang coming in, getting pinned down almost immediately. Thunderbolt not going to be able to drop all of its bombs. Manages to drop, I think, one. Yeah, I think one 25 pound or 25 HE power bomb landed on the Flak 36, which is perfectly fine. Is going to mean that they are destroyed very quickly by the airborne rifles on the ground. Need like an Osttroop squad for the middle here, because he's losing a lot of ground because he just doesn't have anything here. I give VulcanHDGaming lost these Osttroop. We're going to be seeing more than a +2 for Coach Goon sometime soon. And Coach Goon is currently getting a very large lead. ME-109 comes in, takes out the M3. Very much needs to get the ME-109 out of there. Don't greed for that, because there's many Mustangs coming. He sees them coming, and he gets it out of there. Good chap. Right, we've got to see how this infantry does now, because there is quite a lot of aircraft that could come in and pin these guys down. So it's going to be a matter of how much ground these guys can make, and you can see the Osttroop have been surrounded now. So the front line's pushed to 63% in favour of the 101st Division. Not good at all. 14 minutes left on the clock. Can VulcanHDGaming turn this around? He really needs to take care of this M4. Thunderbolt brought in, distracts the Flak 88 from attacking the M4 for now, but doesn't need to anymore since the M4 is dead. There's also a Marder 1 coming up. That's going to be used to pin down more of this infantry. And infantry on the bottom side would be very nice now to push on to the airborne rifles. In the top side, looks like the airborne leader went down. These extra Pioneer squads, all he needed to really push through here, just needs to take care of the 50 cal and he'll be grand. Unfortunately, Mustang's still strafing the hell out of the infantry on the ground. Osttroop in here, surrendering behind enemy lines. So yeah, the +2 just not good at all at the moment in this 1v1. But that Lorraine pinning down 2 squads of airborne rifles there at the same time. Very nice indeed. Second shot should pin down the second squad. And it most certainly does. And I feel like this could very easily swing back in favour of VulcanHDGaming with a little bit of a push here. Like an extra couple of infantry squads, you could push into these airborne rifles very, very quickly and easily. And it might just crush the front line on this bottom side, which means that the territory goes back in favour of VulcanHDGaming. But for now, the main issue is here. Oh, lovely use of the HS-129 there and the ME-109 to take out that 50 cal. The 6 HE on the main machine guns of the HS-129, more than enough to hit that 50 cal very hard. And the B2 coming up to assist. So these pioneers, they need to get across that road into these trees, and they can very much contest the airborne engineers, pathfinders and airborne rifles up there. And once those are dead, again, you can just see this swinging back entirely in the other way. ME-109 and HS-129 just floating about on the top side. Got to be a bit careful because all the AAs down here, I guess that is 3 Flak 88s though, and they have pretty damn long range against aircraft, so could be okay. Maybe he's trying to abate an air engagement here. I'm pretty sure that Coach Kuhn is aware that there are so many Flak 88s on the field. So he's going to have to rely on probably some artillery, otherwise this is going to get out of hand very quickly. So he should have access to mortars and the M1 howitzers. And the M1 howitzers would be fantastic for taking care of the Flak 41s. However, he's also got to deal with Lorraines in that case. And this Lorraine on the bottom side has been doing work, that's for sure. Just a slow concerted effort from this this push down here has really been paying off. Now it's just a matter of breaking that front line entirely so that VulcanHDGaming can take the ground. Because currently, +1 for Coach Kuhn. Coach Kuhn's been doing a fantastic job of maintaining the map. Just in general, like, just controlling the territory. I think VulcanHDGaming's just been neglecting the middle quite a lot. He's now finally got a couple units here, and he's finally got the pioneers into the forest. And he's just going to be surrounding these 3 units, and the +1 is actually back in his favour now. So Thunderbolt coming in with its bombs, going to be managing to hit the Flak 88 there. Will probably take it out. Nope, not quite. Doesn't matter though, as the Mustangs are able to continuously pin them down, making them completely obsolete. It's 1 Flak 88 dead, 2 still alive, 1's pretty low health. Mustang coming in with its bombs there. I feel like it's going to miss, yeah, it didn't really do too much. Only 1 health more lost. Just needs to get all of the Mustangs to just strafe the hell out of it and kill it off. Well, here we go. Starting to surround the airborne units. Needs to get into the 100-meter range to use the AT grenade, really. Although it doesn't really matter. I guess at this range, the airborne engineers are only using the M1 Garand, but as they get closer, well, yeah, okay, they're going to pin them down that time round. That unit is very dead. Or can the Pioneer? It can. It got the grenade off. That means the airborne engineers are dead. Yep, nice. Pioneers doing their jobs. Look at these Mustangs just flying about. 2 more Flak 36s coming in, a Flak filling as well. They do quite a lot of damage to the Mustang if they're not too careful. But look at this overwhelming map change now. All in favour of VulcanHDGaming as he continues to push up almost to a 58% territory lead, which would bring it back to a +2, and that would be what he needs to gain a victory at this point. Pioneer squad is so close to bumping into these airborne engineers. If he can get the grenade off, the Pioneers will win. Those guys might be forced to surrender in the meantime. Okay, never mind. Looks like the airborne engineers managed to get enough time on target before the Pioneer landed the grenade. So Pioneers are going to be forced back there. Fortunately, Pioneer Fuhrer are going to stop them from being surrendered immediately. Seeing this Befehl Panzer 35 move up. Very close to those Pathfinders. Not going to be too much of a problem though. Having this armor out in the open is really, really nice. Liking the use of that to gain back the territory. It looks like Coach Kuhn's trying to reinforce the forest, but I feel like that may leave him very vulnerable in the bottom side of the map. And if he can get his airstrikes in again to hit the Flak 88s, then I think that like Coach Kuhn could make a very good hold on this bottom side and really sort of prevent Von Schliemann from getting a victory. Currently there is 7 minutes left on the clock. 7 minutes and 45 seconds. So, all to play for really. I think if Von Schliemann can get a +2, it might go to a draw. Pioneers hitting the Pathfinders now. From range. There's 2 more infantry squads coming in for Von Schliemann. Just needs to be careful of this salient in the front line. Doesn't want to let his B2 get cut off. Thunderbolt's coming in with the 25 HE power bombs. Goes for the kill shot onto the B2. Gonna force it to fall back. That's fine. Pathfinder's engaging the trucks in the center. Also seeing the 50 cal engage a Kubel MG. So that gives away its position. And there is actually 2 more Panzer 39s coming down to the bottom side. And they will be able to help break through the 50 cals very nicely, actually. Now that Pathfinder is dealt with, if they deal with his 50 cal, the front line's going to push forwards quite a lot there. Stuart comes round though, takes out the B2 after it was pinned down by the Thunderbolt, so very nice move there. These Pioneers, can they get a grenade off onto the Pathfinders? Yes, they can. They are dead. The Pathfinders aren't either. Okay. Looks like the grenade didn't quite land where it should have and only took out 1 man. So 51% territory in favour of Coach Kuhn now. 6 minutes on the clock. HS-129 coming in. That's going to be targeting the M5A1. Bomber coming in onto the Pioneers to try and make them surrender. Engine destroyed. And that is a dead M5A1. HS-129 going to be hit by all the Mustangs. It's going to be forced to fall back. It's going to be relying on his Flak 88s to save the day. Kind of feel like they have a chance to. Never mind. The HS-129 flying back towards the top side of the map. Going to mean he is not defended by that AA net. So it's just a matter of taking care of these 50 cals now. In the top side there is a 120mm mortar to help out with stunning down some of these engineers. And he can continue to use more Pioneers to take them out. But what can Von Schliemann do? There is 5 minutes left. He's being bombed to pieces. B-26B Marauder actually comes in, takes out a half-track and the Marder. I feel like Von Schliemann is in a very, very dire position here. Really, really insane game happening. There has been many opportunities for Von Schliemann, I think, to isolate the top side, but he kind of missed that. I think he got too sort of involved with his original strategy to like push this bottom side, which is fair enough. I mean, it's well over halfway in the bottom side. But noticing how weak the opposing player is on the top side would have been something that could have been very easily done with some recon, and then the B2 that died to the M3 gun probably wouldn't have happened, right? But infantry getting very deep here. Oh, they've got the Panzerfaust on target. Yes, going to take out the AA there. And are now going to be engaging the airborne engineers. Italian infantry are going to be pinning down the airborne engineers and will make them surrender. Very, very nice there. Fusilier squad, however, struggling against the airborne rifles. Or if they can make these airborne rifles surrender, that would give von Schliemann a lot of ground very, very quickly. Don't quite think that von Schliemann's going to get enough points to gain a victory, though. Maybe enough to get a draw, but not a victory. He needs probably a +3 to get a draw at this point. Now, it's kind of sad to see these tanks not going anywhere. There's 3 minutes left on the clock. You probably want to go all in at this point. M4 on the top side, going to be finding the Pioneers and making them surrender. These airborne rifles are completely surrounded. Not going to affect their morale too much, but gives the land to von Schliemann. With 3 minutes left, though, not going to make too much of a difference unless the front line completely collapses from Coach Kuhn, which I don't think it is. The M5A1 in the middle of the forest there, going to be holding that where it needs to. Italian infantry could get very close to these tanks and take them out. Maybe push for a +2. But I don't think there's going to be much chance of that anymore. The plane train of Mustangs is coming in. That's going to be to probably just strafe some of the infantry that are surrounding the Pathfinders and the airborne rifles here. Actually going for the shot onto the mortar, but the mortar's been moved, so no suppression coming out onto the 120mm mortar. Getting very, very close. 750 points now for the Axis side of things. It's a shame. It's a big shame that this hasn't worked out for the 716th player this time round. Von Schliemann, it looks like he's going to be bested by Coach Kuhn in this one. I would love to see a rematch on a different map. See how the 716th does against the 101st then. Bois de Limors generally favoured as the 101st. So I'm kind of glad to see like Coach Kuhn take advantage of that. But it's also a shame that the 716th didn't win out this time round. It's a shame. I really wanted to see like a victory in top tier play come out from the 716th because I was very much convinced that they are very strong. Marder there getting taken out by the M4. I believe von Schliemann's getting a little bit careless towards the end here. Just forcing his units forwards. Double Ouster coming in. Actually, these are grasshoppers, never mind. And they're just going to be providing all the recon that would ever be needed for these tanks to just absolutely crush these infantry units. Mustang's still going for the strafing run onto the 120mm mortar, but that's long gone. Minor victory for the Allies in 40 seconds. Looks like this time round the 101st player managed to hold strong and win out versus the 716th. Big shame. But well played to Coach Kuhn to take on von Schliemann, who's won over 100 games now in ranked on Steel Division. +1 still in favour of von Schliemann as we come to the end of the game. And let's talk a little bit about what happened. So after the whole 40 minutes, Coach Kuhn is victorious. And I'll actually tell you that von Schliemann was the person to send this in to me. So, yeah, fantastic game. Von Schliemann, thank you very much for your replay and thank you for being very humble in showing your defeat against Coach Kuhn. Really, really, really good job in that game. I liked the way that the 716th punched through at the start at the bottom. It was very much what he needed to do in order to gain the ground to sort of counteract the forest in the top side. Because there's no way that Osttroopen are ever going to beat airborne rifles and the airborne engineers in the top side. But you know, you can have damage control, and I think investing in IG-18s earlier on in the top side would have been really nice to contain the airborne engineers. That would have been nice. It would have basically meant that like 2 IG-18s rendered all of that infantry completely ineffective up there. Yes, he had the Mustang bombers and probably could have pinned them down and so on, but it would have been, again, more investment of units in the top side just to take out an IG-18, which could have held them back there up early on. In the bottom side, wasn't much else could have done, I don't feel. Like, pushing through early on was really nice. As soon as the M4 comes in and deals with the B2, that's a big problem. Maybe bringing in an AT gun earlier on would have been nice. Having a Pack 40 to assist your push would have been good for VulcanHDGaming. But Coach Kuhn, great job, just being a real pest, you know, using the airborne rifles and recon squads very effectively throughout the game to like make ground in very odd positions, especially for like the airborne on this division or on this map. Pushing through the 50 cal in the middle was very nice, and having that there for a very long time with some airborne rifles just made a lot of ground, and controlling the front line was really what allowed Coach Kuhn to enable him for a victory at the end of the day. So there you have it. That is a 1v1, very high tier game, and what a fantastic one it was. M4 came in to save the day with the kill onto the B2 there. Tell you what, guys, I hope you enjoyed it, because it doesn't get much better than this in a 1v1. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.